The Galactic Combat Academy stood on a moon called Veltros Prime. It was the most famous fighting school in the known universe. For nearly 1,000 years, warriors from over 200 different alien species had come here to train. They learned how to fight with blades, with energy weapons, and with their bare hands. The best fighters in the galaxy had walked these halls. Grandmaster Zorvac was the head of the academy. He was a Kethrani, a species known for their size and strength. Zorvac stood 8 feet tall. His skin was covered in scales that looked like black glass. He had 4 arms, each one thick with muscle. In 300 years of fighting, no one had ever defeated him in ceremonial combat. On this particular morning, Zorvac stood before the newest class of students. The training hall was made of some kind of crystal that caught the light and sent it dancing across the walls. 112 students sat on the floor before him, representing 30 different species. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had no solid body at all. Zorvac held a plasma blade in his primary right hand. The weapon hummed with energy, glowing a soft blue color. Each species has its limits, Zorvac said. His voice was deep and filled the entire hall. The Kethrani wield 1 blade per combat stance. We are strong, but we focus our power through a single weapon. The Morithans use their tail-mounted weapons because their arms lack the strength for heavy blades. The Chitara use speed rather than power because their exoskeletons are brittle. He paused and looked across the students. His amber eyes missed nothing. But there is one universal truth across all species, Zorvac continued. No species in recorded galactic history has ever successfully dual-wielded weapons in true combat. The neural processing required would destroy any known brain. It is simply impossible. In the back row, a hand went up. Zorvac's eyes found the source. It was the human girl. The only human in the academy. The only human who had ever attended. Her name was Lily Carter. She was 18 years old and came from a place called Kansas City on the planet Earth. Humans had only joined the Galactic Concord 2 years ago. They were considered a young species, primitive by galactic standards. Lily's presence at the academy was a diplomatic gesture, nothing more. No one expected her to actually compete with the other students. She was small by any measure. 5 feet and 6 inches tall. She had reddish-brown hair that she kept tied back in a simple braid. Her skin was soft, without scales or armor or fur. Among the hulking alien students, she looked almost like a child. Yes, Zorvac said, his tone patient but not particularly interested. With respect, Master Zorvac, Lily said. Humans practice dual wielding. Some of our historical warriors trained extensively in it. There are entire fighting styles built around using 2 weapons at once. Laughter filled the hall. It came from all directions, from dozens of different species, each laughing in their own way. Clicks and hisses and rumbling sounds of amusement. A Morithian student named Drexus slithered closer to Lily. The Morithians were serpent-like beings with long bodies and powerful tails. They had arms, but their real strength was in their lower half. Drexus was considered one of the best young fighters at the academy. His scales were green and gold, and his eyes were cold. The little soft skin thinks her primitive species knows something the galaxy does not, Drexus said. His forked tongue flickered out as he spoke. How amusing. Tell me, human, can your people also fly? Can you breathe in space? What other impossible things do you claim? More laughter followed. Zorvac raised one of his 4 hands, and the room fell silent. Child, Zorvac said, looking at Lily with something that might have been pity. I have studied combat for 300 cycles. I have trained warriors from every corner of the galaxy. What you describe is theatrical flourish, not true synchronized independent weapon control. Your species lacks the additional neural cortex required for such processing. It is not an insult. It is simply biology. Lily looked at him for a long moment. Then, she nodded slowly. I understand, Master, she said. Thank you for explaining. She did not argue further. She had learned in her first week at the academy that arguments went nowhere. The aliens had already decided what humans were capable of. Nothing she said would change their minds. Only actions would do that. That night, Lily returned to her quarters. The room was small and cramped, designed for species much smaller than the Kethrani or Marithians. But it was private. And that was what mattered. She waited until the corridor outside was quiet. Then she pulled a metal case from beneath her sleeping mat. She had smuggled it aboard the transport ship that brought her to Veltros Prime. It had cost her 3 months of saved credits to bribe the cargo handler who looked the other way. Inside the case lay 4 swords. They were short swords, each one about 20 inches long. The blades were made of folded steel, crafted in the old way. No plasma edges, no energy fields, just metal, shaped and sharpened by human hands. Lily's grandfather had made these swords. He had been a bladesmith in Montana, one of the last people on Earth who still knew the old techniques. He had learned from his father, who had learned from his father before him. Lily picked up one of the swords and felt its weight. It was perfectly balanced, exactly as she remembered. Her grandfather had started teaching her when she was 7 years old. Every summer, she would visit his workshop in the mountains. While other children played games and watched screens, Lily learned how to hold a blade, how to move, how to fight. The galaxy thinks they know everything about combat, her grandfather had told her once. They have been fighting with energy weapons for so long that they have forgotten what steel can do. They have never seen what a human can really do with a blade. Lily strapped 2 of the swords to her forearms, using special sheaths her grandfather had designed. The sheaths held the blades flat against her skin, hidden beneath her sleeves. With a flick of her wrists, the swords would snap into her hands. She picked up the other 2 swords and held them ready. Then, in the darkness of her tiny room, she began to practice. She moved through forms that had no names in any galactic database. Fighting styles that had been developed on Earth over thousands of years. Passed down through generations. Techniques that used not just 2 weapons, but 4. Her arms moved independently, each one following its own pattern. Her brain processed 4 separate streams of movement at once. It had taken her years to develop this ability. Years of training until it became as natural as breathing. The aliens thought humans were limited. They thought dual wielding was impossible for any species. They were wrong. Lily practiced until sweat dripped down her face and her muscles burned. She practiced until she could barely lift her arms. Then she put the swords away, hid the case, and lay down on her sleeping mat. Tomorrow, she would go back to being the quiet human girl. The diplomatic curiosity. The student that nobody took seriously. But one day, when the time was right, she would show them all what humans could really do. She fell asleep with a small smile on her face. 3 months passed at the Galactic Combat Academy. Lily Carter kept her head down and her mouth shut. She attended every class. She completed every assignment. She scored exactly in the middle of her class on every test. This was not an accident. Lily was careful to never stand out. She was careful to never show what she could really do. The aliens already thought humans were weak and primitive. She let them keep thinking that. In Blade Combat class, she lost more fights than she won. But she always lost in ways that looked close. She would make small mistakes at just the right moments. She would leave openings that her opponents could exploit. No one suspected that she was doing it on purpose. In physical training, she finished in the middle of the pack. Not first. Not last. Just average. Just forgettable. The other students ignored her for the most part. She was not worth their attention. The human girl who could barely keep up. The diplomatic curiosity who would wash out before the year was over. Only her roommate paid any real attention to her. Selka was a young Kethrani female, smaller than most of her species, but still much larger than Lily. She had dark blue scales instead of black, and her eyes were a lighter shade of amber than Zorvak's. Unlike most of the students, Selka was curious about humans rather than dismissive. "You move strangely," Selka said one evening. She was watching Lily stretch in their shared quarters. "Like you are preparing muscles that combat training does not use." Lily smiled and kept stretching. "Humans get stiff if we do not stretch." she said. Our bodies are not as flexible as other species. This was a lie. Lily was extremely flexible. The stretches she was doing were part of her secret training, preparing her body for movements that no one at the academy had ever seen. Selka tilted her head, a Kathrani gesture of confusion. But those stretches are for your shoulders and back. Combat training focuses on arms and legs. Human bodies are weird, Lily said with a shrug. Everything is connected. Selka accepted this explanation. She had no reason to suspect that her small, quiet roommate was hiding anything. The real test came 6 months into the year when Grandmaster Zorvac made an announcement. The entire academy gathered in the Great Hall. Thousands of students and teachers filled the massive space. Holographic screens floated in the air so that everyone could see the central platform where Zorvac stood. Every 100 cycles we hold the Centennial Tournament, Zorvac announced. His voice boomed through the hall. Warriors from across the galaxy come to compete in single combat. The winner earns the title of Blade Champion and a position on the Galactic Defense Council. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The Centennial Tournament was the most prestigious fighting competition in known space. Winning it would bring honor to any species. This tournament has been won by Kathrani masters for the last 7 cycles, Zorvac continued. There was pride in his voice. But the rules state that any student of sufficient rank may enter. It is tradition. He paused and looked out over the assembled students. Registration opens tomorrow. The crowd erupted into noise. Students talked excitedly about who would enter and who might win. The favorites were obvious. Drexus the Marithian, Vortan the Kathrani, a few other senior students with impressive records. No one mentioned Lily Carter. Why would they? She was barely passing her classes. She had lost dozens of practice matches. She was not a contender. The next morning, Lily walked to the registration terminal and entered her name. The administrator, a small, furry creature called a Velni, looked at her with something like pity. Are you sure about this, human? The Velni asked. The tournament is very dangerous. Students have been seriously injured. Some have even died. I understand, Lily said. I want to enter. The Velni shrugged and processed her registration. It was not his job to talk students out of making mistakes. Word spread quickly through the academy. The human girl had entered the Centennial Tournament. By lunch, everyone was talking about it. Drexus found Lily in the meal hall. He slithered up to her table and coiled his body so that he towered over her. You enter the tournament, human? He asked. His voice dripped with contempt. You will be eliminated in the first round, perhaps sooner, if your soft body cannot handle a true blow. Lily looked up at him calmly. Maybe, she said. But I would like to try, Drexus hissed with amusement. Try. Yes. That is all your species can do. Try and fail. Try and die. You are not warriors. You are prey. He slithered away, laughing. Other students came by throughout the day to make similar comments. Some were cruel. Some were almost kind, trying to warn her that she was making a mistake. Lily thanked them all, and did not change her mind. That night, Selka confronted her in their quarters. Why did you do this? Selka demanded. Her forearms were folded across her chest, a Kathrani gesture of frustration. You know you cannot win. You know you will be hurt. Why enter a tournament you cannot survive? Lily sat on her sleeping mat and looked up at her roommate. Do you remember what Zorvac said on our first day? Lily asked. About dual wielding being impossible? Selka nodded slowly. Yes. He said no species can do it. The neural processing would destroy any brain. What if he was wrong? Selka stared at her. He has studied combat for 300 cycles. He knows more about fighting than anyone alive. He knows more about fighting than any alien alive, Lily corrected gently. But humans have only been in the Galactic Concord for 2 years. No one has really studied how we fight. No one has asked what we can do. Selka was quiet for a long moment. Then she shook her head. Even if you are hiding some skill, it will not be enough. Drexus is fast. Vortan is strong. You cannot beat them. Lily smiled. We will see. The next few weeks were busy. Lily continued to attend her classes. She continued to score in the middle of her tests. But now, in her private quarters, she trained harder than ever. She received a message from her parents back on Earth. The transmission was delayed by 3 days because of the distance. But the words meant everything to her. Her father, Daniel Carter, had been a Marine before he retired. He had served in 3 different conflicts. He knew what it meant to be underestimated. Show them what great-grandpa taught us, he wrote. We believe in you. Sweetheart. Her mother, Grace, added her own message. Come home safe. But make them remember you first. Lily read the messages 12 times. She thought about her grandfather in his workshop, teaching her to hold a blade. She thought about her great-great-grandfather, who had fought in a war called World War II, and learned sword fighting in a place called the Philippines. Her family had been warriors for generations. They had passed their knowledge down from parent to child, keeping the old ways alive, even as the world changed around them. Now it was Lily's turn to carry that legacy. She opened her hidden case and took out her 4 swords. She strapped 2 to her forearms and held 2 in her hands. The tournament was 3 weeks away. Betting pools had opened across the academy. The odds against Lily winning were 40,000 to 1. She intended to prove every single one of them wrong. In the darkness of her quarters, with 4 blades spinning around her in perfect harmony, Lily Carter prepared for war. The tournament arena floated above the acid seas of Veltros Prime. It was a massive platform, held in the air by gravity generators that had been running for 500 years. Below it, green and yellow clouds of toxic gas swirled over an ocean that could dissolve metal in minutes. Energy shields surrounded the platform, preventing fighters from falling to their deaths. But the shields did not stop pain. If you were thrown over the edge, you would hit the barrier and bounce back, bruised and broken but alive. 12,000 spectators filled the hovering stands that surrounded the arena. They came from dozens of species across the galactic concord. Some had traveled for weeks to witness the Centennial Tournament. Others watched through holographic projections from distant worlds. Lily Carter stood in the waiting area beneath the main platform. Around her, other fighters prepared for their matches. Some stretched. Some meditated. Some talked loudly about their plans for victory. No one talked to Lily. She was still wearing her simple academy uniform. She carried only 1 sword, the same single blade that all students were issued. She had left her other 3 swords hidden in her quarters. Not yet, she told herself. Save them for when they matter. Her first match was called. The opponent was a Chitara named Vexus. The Chitara were insectoid beings with hard exoskeletons and compound eyes that could track movement faster than almost any other species. Vexus had won his last 12 practice matches through speed alone. By the time most opponents saw his blade coming, it was already too late. Lily walked up to the platform. The crowd noise dimmed slightly as people noticed who was fighting. The human girl. The joke entry. This should be over quickly. Vexus climbed onto the platform from the other side. His exoskeleton was dark red, almost black. His compound eyes reflected the light in 1,000 different directions. His mandibles clicked together in what passed for a smile among his species. I will try not to damage you permanently, small one, Vexus said. Humans are rare. It would be wasteful to break you completely. Lily said nothing. She held her sword in a basic ready position and waited. The automated arbiter, an ancient artificial intelligence that had overseen these tournaments for 1,000 years, announced the start of the match. Combatants ready. Standard rules apply. Fight until yield or incapacitation. Begin. Vexus moved. He was fast, incredibly fast. His blade cut through the air toward Lily's dominant arm, the standard opening attack designed to disarm an opponent before they could react. His compound eyes tracked her position perfectly. There was no way she could dodge in time, except she was not there. Lily had rolled beneath the strike before it even began. She had watched Vexus in his practice matches. She knew his patterns. She knew that he always opened with the same attack. She came up behind him, her sword already pressing against the weak point between his thorax segments. The entire exchange had taken less than 2 seconds. "Yield," Lily said quietly. Vexus froze. His compound eyes rotated backward, trying to see what had happened. His brain could not process it. He was the fast one. He was supposed to be impossible to dodge. "This is not possible," he chittered. "Your species cannot move at combat speed. Your reflexes are too slow. Your eyes cannot track fast movement." "Yield," Lily repeated. She pushed the blade slightly deeper. Not enough to draw blood, but enough to make her point. "Or I push harder." Vexus yielded. The crowd fell silent. Then whispers began, spreading like ripples in water. What had just happened? How had the human moved so fast? Lily walked off the platform without looking back. She had 3 more matches today. She needed to save her energy. Her second match was against a nebulari, a species that existed as controlled clouds of gas. They fought with energy tendrils rather than physical weapons. The nebulari, named Coryx, was confident that its non-solid form would make it impossible for a human to hurt. Lily had studied the nebulari carefully. Their gaseous bodies were held together by a central core of condensed matter. Disrupt the core, and the body could not maintain its shape. When the match began, Coryx extended dozens of energy tendrils toward Lily, each one capable of delivering a painful shock. It expected her to dodge, to retreat, to eventually tire and make a mistake. Instead, Lily charged straight into the cloud. She struck 7 times in 4 seconds. Her blade passed through the gas harmlessly, but each strike was aimed at the same spot, the center of Coryx's form, where the core had to be. On the 7th strike, she found it. Coryx's body dispersed instantly. The gas cloud scattered across the platform, unable to hold its shape. The match was over. "Winner, Lily Carter of Earth," the arbiter announced. The whispers in the crowd grew louder. Lily's third match was against a Kethrani warrior named Pren. He was not as skilled as Vortan or as experienced as Zorvak, but he was still a Kethrani, strong, powerful, confident in his superior biology. "You have won 2 lucky matches," Pren said as they faced each other. "But luck does not work against a Kethrani. We are built for combat." Lily did not respond. She simply waited. Pren attacked with the full force of his species. His blade came down in a powerful overhead strike that would have split a human's skull in half. Lily sidestepped. The blade hit the platform where she had been standing, cracking the stone. Pren roared and attacked again. And again. And again. Each strike was powerful enough to kill. Each strike hit nothing but air. Lily moved around him like water flowing around a rock. She never attacked. She just kept dodging, letting him tire himself out. After 2 minutes, Pren was breathing hard. Sweat dripped from his scales. His attacks were slower now, less precise. Lily struck once, a single clean hit to the nerve cluster on his right side. Pren's arm went numb, and his sword clattered to the ground. "Yield," she said. Pren stared at her with something that might have been respect. Then he nodded. "I yield." The betting odds shifted. They were no longer 40,000 to 1. Now they were down to 20,000. Lily's 4th match of the day was her hardest yet. Her opponent was a species called the Voraxian, a predator race from a high-gravity world. They were not as tall as the Kethrani, but they were incredibly dense and muscular. Their reflexes were sharp. Their instincts were deadly. The Voraxian's name was Thresh. She had claws as well as a sword, and she was not afraid to use both. Finally, a real challenge. Thresh growled as they faced each other. "You move well for a prey species. Let us see how you bleed." This match lasted longer than the others. Thresh was not fooled by feints. She did not tire easily. Her attacks came from multiple angles, forcing Lily to work hard just to survive. But Lily had trained for this. She had spent years learning how to fight opponents who were bigger, stronger, and faster than her. Her grandfather had taught her that size and strength meant nothing if you could not hit your target. The match went on for 5 minutes. Then 10. The crowd grew quiet, watching every exchange with growing amazement. The human girl was still standing. The human girl was not even breathing hard. At 12 minutes, Lily saw her opening. Thresh had overextended on a claw swipe, leaving her balance slightly off. It was a tiny mistake, barely noticeable. Lily exploited it perfectly. She ducked under the claw, stepped inside Thresh's guard, and placed her blade against the Varaxian's throat. "Yield," she said. Thresh's eyes went wide. She could feel the cold steel against her scales. One push, and she would die. "I yield," she said slowly. "You are not what you seem, human." Lily lowered her sword. "Nobody ever is." She walked off the platform to scattered applause. Some spectators were actually cheering for her now. The odds had dropped again, to 8,000 to 1. That night, Lily returned to her quarters and found Selka waiting for her. "How?" Selka demanded. "How are you doing this? You have lost half your practice matches this year. You scored average on every test. How are you suddenly winning against warriors who have trained their entire lives?" Lily sat down on her sleeping mat and smiled. "I was never average," she said. "I just wanted you to think I was." Selka stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, she began to laugh. "You have been hiding this whole time," Selka said. "You clever little predator. You have been hiding, waiting, planning, something like that." Selka shook her head in amazement. "What else are you hiding, Lily Carter of Earth?" Lily thought about the 4 swords in her hidden case. She thought about the semifinals tomorrow, where she would face Vortan, the favorite to win the entire tournament. "You will find out soon enough," she said. The semi-finals took place on the second day of the tournament. Only 4 fighters remained: Lily Carter of Earth, Vortan of the Kethrani, Drexus of the Merithians, and a silent warrior from a species called the Shadowkin, whose name could not be pronounced by other races. The Shadowkin fought first. They faced Drexus in a match that lasted nearly 20 minutes. Both fighters were incredibly skilled. Both landed hits that would have ended lesser opponents. In the end, Drexus won by a narrow margin, his speed proving just slightly superior to the Shadowkin's stealth. Then it was Lily's turn. Vortan stepped onto the platform with the confidence of someone who had never lost a match. He was a student of Grandmaster Zorvak himself, trained in the highest forms of Kethrani combat. His 4 arms each moved with perfect precision. His blade was an extension of his body. "You have fought well for a lesser species," Vortan said. There was genuine respect in his voice. "I did not expect you to reach this far. But this is where your journey ends. I will give you an honorable defeat." Lily drew her single sword. She said nothing. The arbiter announced the start, and Vortan attacked. He was faster than any opponent Lily had faced so far. His blade moved in patterns that had been developed over centuries of Kethrani martial tradition. Each strike was precise. Each movement was efficient. There was no wasted energy, no openings to exploit. Lily blocked. She parried. She dodged. The crowd watched in stunned silence. The human girl was keeping up with a Kethrani master. Not winning, but not losing either. Just surviving. 1 minute passed. Then 2. Then 3. Vortan's attacks grew faster, more aggressive. He used all 4 of his arms to create feints and diversions, while his blade sought any weakness in Lily's defense. He was trying to overwhelm her, to push her beyond what a human body could handle. But Lily would not be overwhelmed. She moved with a speed and precision that defied everything the aliens knew about humans. Her single blade seemed to be everywhere at once, blocking attacks that should have been impossible to track. At 4 minutes, Vortan made a tiny mistake. He shifted his weight for a power strike, and for just a fraction of a second, his guard opened on his right side. Lily exploited it perfectly. She ducked under his power strike and came up inside his reach. Her blade flicked out once, twice, 3 times. Each hit struck a pressure point that the Kethrani thought was secret. Vortan's primary arm went numb. His sword fell from his grip. Lily caught it before it hit the ground. Now she held 2 blades, 1 in each hand. The crowd gasped. "Yield," Lily said. Both blades now pointed at Vortan's chest. Vorton stared at her with wide, amber eyes. He looked at the blade in her left hand, the one she had caught from him. He looked at how naturally she held it, as if fighting with two weapons was the most normal thing in the world. The master said no species can dual wield, Vorton whispered. He said the neural processing was impossible. Your master was wrong about a lot of things, Lily replied. Vorton was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, he bowed his head. I yield. You have earned your place in the final. Lily Carter of Earth. You are more than we thought. Lily lowered the blades. She handed Vorton's sword back to him, a gesture of respect. Thank you for the match, she said. You are a worthy opponent. She walked off the platform. Behind her, the crowd erupted into noise. Some cheered, some shouted in disbelief. Some argued about what they had just seen. The human girl had dual-wielded, for just a few seconds, but it had happened. The impossible had happened. The betting odds dropped to 2,000 to 1. That night, Grandmaster Zorvac came to Lily's quarters. He did not knock. The door simply opened, and he stood there, all 8 feet of him, blocking the entire doorway. His forearms were folded across his massive chest. His amber eyes studied her like she was a puzzle he could not solve. You are not what you appear to be, Zorvac said. I have watched every one of your matches. You hold back deliberately. You have been hiding your true skills since the day you arrived. Lily sat on her sleeping mat. She did not stand up. She did not show fear. Every warrior has secrets, master. Tomorrow you face Drexus in the final, Zorvac continued. He has won the junior tournament 3 cycles in a row. He is faster than any Marithian I have ever trained. His reflexes are exceptional even among his species. Lily nodded. I know. He also hates humans. He believes your species is weak, fit only to be conquered. He will try to kill you in the arena tomorrow. The rules of ceremonial combat will allow it if he can make it look accidental. I know that too. Zorvac's eyes narrowed. You do not seem concerned. Should I be? There was a long silence. Then Zorvac stepped into the room and closed the door behind him. He looked around the small space, his eyes searching for something. Show me, he said. Show me what you have been hiding. Lily considered refusing. She considered keeping her secret for one more day. But something in Zorvac's voice told her that he deserved the truth. She moved to her sleeping mat and pulled out the hidden case. She opened it to reveal the 4 swords inside. Zorvac stared at them for a long moment. You cannot mean to use all of them, he said. Even dual wielding is supposed to be impossible. 4 weapons at once would require splitting your consciousness in combat. It would destroy any mind. Win. I win. I win. Lily picked up 2 of the swords and began to spin them in a figure-8 pattern. The blades moved in perfect harmony, each one following its own path without interfering with the other. My great-great-grandfather fought in a war called World War II, Lily said as she moved. He was a soldier in Italy, then later in the Pacific. He learned sword fighting from a man in the Philippines who had trained with blades his entire life. When he came home, he taught his children, who taught their children. She picked up the other 2 swords, one in each hand, while the first 2 continued to spin on her forearms. Now, all 4 blades were moving, each one independent, each one deadly. Humans have been fighting with blades for thousands of years, Lily continued. We have developed techniques that your galactic records never documented, because nobody thought to ask us. Nobody thought primitive humans could know anything about combat. Zorvac watched in silence. His amber eyes tracked the 4 blades, trying to understand how she was controlling them all at once. That would require your brain to process 4 separate streams of combat data simultaneously, he said slowly. It should be impossible. For most species, yes. Lily stopped moving and held all 4 swords ready. But humans have something your scientists never studied properly. We call it ambidexterity. True ambidexterity. Some of us can train our brains to operate our limbs independently, processing separate combat calculations at the same time. You are saying humans can do what no other species can do? I am saying that we are different. Not better. Not worse. Just different. And different can be dangerous when no one expects it. Zorvac was silent for a very long time. He looked at Lily with new eyes, seeing her not as a weak primitive but as something else entirely. Something that the galaxy had never encountered before. Then he did something that Lily had never seen him do. He bowed. It was a deep bow, the kind that Kethrani only gave to equals or superiors. It was a gesture of profound respect. "I was wrong about your species," Zorvac said. "I have been teaching combat for 300 years, and I have never seen anything like what you just showed me." He straightened up and met her eyes. "I withdraw from the position of neutral judge tomorrow. I wish to watch your final match as a spectator, not an official. I want to see what you truly are." Lily Carter of Earth. He walked to the door and paused. "Show the galaxy what your species hides," he said. "Make them remember." After he left, Lily strapped her 4 swords to her body and practiced until dawn. Tomorrow, she would fight Drexus. Tomorrow, she would show the galaxy that everything they knew about combat was about to change. Tomorrow, a new legend would be born. The final match of the Centennial Tournament drew the largest audience in history. Word had spread across the galactic concord overnight. The human girl who had defeated a Kethrani master. The impossible dual-wielding that everyone had witnessed. Something unprecedented was about to happen, and everyone wanted to see it. The floating stands around the arena were packed with spectators from every corner of known space. Holographic viewers watched from 100 different worlds. Even the Council of Species sent observers, their shimmering forms hovering in the VIP section like ghosts made of light. Drexus entered the arena first. The Merithian champion was confident. His serpentine body was coiled with deadly grace, ready to strike at any moment. His long blade gleamed in the artificial sunlight. His scales were polished to a shine, green and gold catching the light. He had killed 2 opponents in previous tournaments. Both deaths had been ruled accidental. Everyone knew they were not. The crowd roared for him. He was the favorite. He was the champion. He was everything that the galaxy expected a warrior to be. Then Lily entered. She wore simple clothes, black and practical. No armor, no shields, no fancy equipment, just a human girl from a small planet that most of the galaxy had never heard of. She carried 4 swords. The crowd noise died instantly. A hush fell over 12,000 spectators as they realized what they were seeing. 4 blades. The human girl carried 4 blades. 2 short swords were strapped to her forearms in special sheaths. 2 more she held in her hands. Each blade was about 20 inches long, made of folded steel in the old human way. They looked primitive compared to the plasma weapons that most species used. But weapons are only as dangerous as the person holding them. "What mockery is this?" Drexus demanded. His forked tongue flickered with fury. "You insult the tournament with theatrical props. Do you think this is a game?" They are not props," Lily said calmly. Her voice carried across the silent arena. "They are weapons. And no, this is not a game." Grandmaster Zorvac was no longer the judge. He stood in the audience, watching with intense focus. In his place, the automated arbiter floated above the platform, ready to begin the match. "Combatants ready," the arbiter announced. "Standard rules apply. Fight until yield or incapacitation. Begin." Drexus attacked instantly, his full length uncoiled in a blur of motion. His blade shot toward Lily's throat in a killing strike. He was not trying to disarm her. He was not trying to win on points. He was trying to end her life before the match truly began. Lily blocked it with her right-hand blade. At the same moment, she slashed at his exposed underbelly with her left. Drexus recoiled. A thin line of blue blood appeared on his scales. First blood, first point. The crowd erupted in shock. "Impossible," Drexus hissed. His eyes were wide with disbelief. "You cannot coordinate 2 blades independently. No species can dual wield." Lily did not respond with words. She responded with action. She attacked. What followed would be studied in combat academies for the next 1,000 years. Lily Carter fought with all 4 blades at once. Each one moved in its own pattern. Each one targeted a different part of her opponent. She blocked with her forearm blades while striking with her handheld ones. She parried with one weapon while three others carved paths through Drexus's defenses. Her body moved in ways that should have been impossible, each limb operating independently, yet perfectly coordinated. Drexus was fast. He was one of the fastest warriors in the galaxy. His reflexes were exceptional even among his own species. But he was facing an assault from 4 directions at once. His single blade could only be in one place at a time. He blocked one strike and took hits from 3 others. He dodged one attack and ran straight into 2 more. He tried to create distance, but Lily stayed with him, her 4 blades never stopping. "This is not possible," Drexus screamed. His movements were becoming desperate now. Blue blood leaked from a dozen small wounds. "No neural system can process this. No species can dual wield. No species can dual wield." "You are right," Lily said. Her voice was steady despite the furious pace of combat. "No species can dual wield." She increased her speed. Her blades became a storm of steel around her. Too fast to track, too coordinated to predict. "But I am not dual wielding," she continued. She disarmed him. It was a complex maneuver that used all 4 of her blades at once. 2 of them locked his sword in place. The third knocked it from his grip. The 4th caught it before it hit the ground and sent it flying out of the arena. Drexus was weaponless. Lily placed all 4 of her blades at different points on his body. 2 at his throat. 1 at his heart. 1 at the base of his tail. "I am quad-wielding," she said. "And I am just getting started." Drexus froze. He could feel the cold steel against his scales. 4 points of death, all controlled by one small human girl. His eyes showed something they had never shown before. Fear. "Yield," Lily said. For a long moment, Drexus did not move. His pride screamed at him to fight on, to find some way to turn this around. He was a champion. He was a killer. He could not lose to a human, but the blades at his throat told him a different story. One wrong move and he would die. Not maybe, certainly. "I yield," Drexus whispered. "I yield." The arena exploded. 12,000 spectators of dozens of species leaped to their feet. Some cheered, some roared in disbelief, some simply stood in stunned silence, trying to process what they had just witnessed. The human had won. The human with 4 swords had defeated the champion of the Merithians. She had done what every scientist in the galaxy said was impossible. She had wielded 4 weapons at once and made it look easy. Grandmaster Zorvac stepped forward from the crowd. He walked onto the platform and stopped before Lily, who still stood with her 4 swords drawn. "You have shown us something new," Zorvac said. His voice was quiet, but the arena had fallen silent, and everyone heard him. "In 1,000 cycles of training warriors, we thought we knew the limits of combat. We were wrong." He dropped to one knee before her. It was the highest honor a Kethrani could give to another warrior. Around the arena, other fighters began to do the same. Kethrani, Merithians, Chitara, Nebulari, species that had mocked humans now knelt before a human girl. "Champion Lily Carter of Earth," Zorvac announced, his voice carrying across the arena. "You have earned your title, but more than that, you have earned something greater. You have reminded the galaxy that we do not know everything, that small species from young worlds can carry secrets we never imagined." Lily slowly lowered her swords, one by one. She looked out at the kneeling warriors, at the stunned observers, at the recording devices that would carry this moment to every corner of known space. "My grandfather used to tell me something," she said. Her voice was amplified across the arena, steady and clear. "Never assume you know what someone is capable of until you have seen them fight for what they love. Humans have been fighting for a very long time. We have learned a few things." She sheathed her 4 swords and turned to leave the platform. Selka met her at the exit. Her Kethrani roommate was staring at her with something like wonder. "What happens now?" Selka asked. Lily smiled. Suddenly she looked very young and very tired. "Now I call my parents and tell them I won," she said. "Then I sleep for about 2 days. After that—" She glanced back at the arena, where chaos still reigned, and her name was being chanted in a dozen different languages. "After that, I suppose I have a seat on the Galactic Defense Council to fill. She paused at the door and looked back one final time. And maybe I will start a school, she added quietly, to teach anyone who wants to learn that limits are just words until someone proves them wrong. Behind her, the chanting continued. Lily Carter. Lily Carter. The name echoed across the arena, across the planet, across the stars. A new legend had been born. A human legend. The girl with 4 swords who had shown the entire galaxy that they did not know everything after all. And somewhere on a small blue planet called Earth, a retired Marine named Daniel Carter and his wife Grace watched the broadcast with tears streaming down their faces. Their daughter had made them proud. Their daughter had changed everything. Their daughter had shown the galaxy what humanity could really do.